Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here. Welcome. Hope that everybody enjoyed their holiday, no matter how you celebrated it or not. I hope that you enjoyed the time you had with family. I hope that it served as a time of joy and healing for some. Whatever it is, I hope that you enjoyed it. We're back into the thorough things. We're back into uh, waking up and getting to it and striving to be what we need to be to do the things we desire to do, because it's not about what we want, it's about what we become. And as long as you understand that and you have an applicable approach to achieving who you need to be or becoming who you need to be, then the things you desire are in front of you and you simply have to uh, possess them. Look, I'm going to talk to you this morning about something I think is immensely important, something that I often talk with my clients about. I often speak and lecture on it. It's extremely important to understand the principles that I'm going to put forth here in this brief video, but I want you to take them at heart. I want you to really listen to them. I want you to not only become emotionally charged, but I want you to become cognitively aware of the power you possess inside of you to change the world around you. You don't change the world by changing other people. You change the world by how you deal with other people, how you deal with adversity, how you deal with disappointment, how you deal with people trying to hinder you. Those are the ways that you literally change the world. You don't change people because people have to want to change. But what you can change is how you perceive things, how you move against things, how you receive things. The question I want to start with is, are you in control of your life, or are you being moved and thrown about and tossed about by the situations and circumstances of life? Are you in control of your life, or are you being tossed about it? When I ask that question, sometimes people are a bit thrown back by it or confused by it, because people tend to interpret, are you in control of your life, meaning that you have basically gained a level of control that you don't have problems. And that's not realistic in the sense of how life moves. And what life isn't about circumventing problems. Life is about handling problems. Life is about processing problems. Life is about changing your perspective on problems until problems are no longer problematic. That's what determines the level of life you live in this world, not getting around and avoiding problems, but effectively dealing with problems. So when I ask, are you in control of your life? It's saying, are you in control when you enter into situations, especially those situations that are uncomfortable, those situations that are frustrating, those situations that tend to set you back in your plans, that tend to frustrate you in your desires? Are you in control? And I sort of subtopicked the title, Sun Stand Still. It's a powerful statement that people who are people of faith, or specifically um, Christian or practice Judaism or whatever, that are familiar with the scriptures in the Bible, know exactly what sun stand still means. But I want to bring it home in a very understandable way for everyone involved, and with a respect for everyone's place in this world and how you hold your faith. But how you hold your faith is going to have an immense, powerful impact on how you live your life. And if you don't ever understand that, life is not going to make a lot of sense. Life is going to seem uncontrollable. Life is going to seem miserable often, because you are not in a position to understand the power you possess to take control of your situations and control of your life. But you're going to have these times where things aren't what you want them to be. And how you engage those moments, how you deal with those moments, are going to be the determining factor of the level of quality in which you live life, how much joy you experience, how much success you experience, how much fulfillment you experience. Isn't in getting around life's challenges, it's in effectively taking on the challenges. And sun stand still goes back to a time in the Old Testament, in the book of Joshua, And it is Joshua who is the successor to Moses. And in the book of Deuteronomy, God has a conversation with Moses when he tells Moses, you're not going into the land of Canaan. You're not going to experience in direct contact the promised land. I'll let you see it at a distance, but you won't experience it. But what I need you to do is I'm going to pass the mantle to Joshua, one of only two that were faithful and brave enough to believe that they could possess the promised land of the original adults in those we freed from Egypt. So what I want you to do is go tell Joshua to assure him, let him know, as I was with you, so shall I be with him. Tell him I will never leave him, nor forsake him. Tell him those things and let him know that he has me co-signing this. And so Moses goes and tell him, but then in the book of Joshua, chapter 1, God again engages Joshua and reaffirms what Moses had already told him by telling him, you know, that as I was with Moses, so shall I be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. And then he tells him, be of good courage, never fear. And he spends some significant time instilling into the mind of Joshua the fact that he had the same power of God. Now, what you got to do if you understand the story, this isn't about whether you believe the story or not. It's about understanding the principle behind the story. I don't want to lose people here. I want you to understand this is more than just a biblical story. This is about principle and the universal operation of the Most High God and how God moves. We're talking about the active force of faith here. Don't get lost in all of the religiosity in it. Catch up with the principle here. All right. So now take in mind, when God tells Joshua, as I was with Moses, so shall I be with you, then there's some images that pop up. And if you think about life and you move about, you tend to translate ideas and thoughts and words into images. You literally begin to see. And it's those images that determine your mood. It's the image that determine how happy you're going to be. It's the images that determine how positive or negative you're going to be about something. It's the words are literally transformed and somebody gives you some news, they tell you some words, those words are immediately transformed in images. The more effective you are at transforming words into images and being able to interpret those words in a way that you can write an image that's positive no matter what the circumstances or the words are actually saying, the better you're going to be off at being able to take on the world. But check this out. Here are the images that popped up into Joshua's head when God said, as I was with Moses, so shall I be with you. Man, Joshua said, dude, put 10 plagues on Egypt. Dude did all kind of miracles in Egypt to move Pharaoh. Dude was put out and lived in the desert and survived. Dude came up, cast out his rod over the Red Sea, and the Red Sea parted. All these different things Moses did. And God's saying, I have that same power to literally speak things that are not as though they were. I literally have the power to sit out and move. So then Joshua takes the people of Israel over into Canaan, and they began to conquer Canaan as they had been commanded, taking everything and possessing everything physically. What had been given to them spiritually was now being possessed physically. Get this, this is an actual analogy to the process of manifestation. See, it first comes spiritually, through the modem of thought. Your thoughts are the seeds of your destiny. How you think will produce your realities down the line. Your thoughts produce how you're going to move, what you believe, the decisions you make, your choices. All of those things ultimately end up being what? Your reality. So it starts with the thought. But anyway, he sees all these things and he immediately thinks, man, really, I'm going to be just like dude. Okay, so then here's this part. Now, this is where Sun Stand Still comes in. He gets word that an ally of his is in battle with Midianites. The Midianites are all through the Bible, and they are literally the thorn in the side of Israel. The Midianites are the very one that had Gideon down the line in the book of Judges, hiding and threshing wheat in the winepress, hiding from the Midianites. But that's a whole nother story. But just trying to get you these Midianites. Here they are, their way. So the story goes, Joshua and his men marched all night to get to the place where they were waging war. And they began to wage war and they began to win. And immediately, God's promise to Joshua begins to take hold, because it says in the story that Joshua and his men triumphed over the Midianites throughout the battle. and they killed many, but God through the raining down of hailstones killed more than Gideon and all his men combined. So God was again standing and keeping his word. Not the important part in this, even though it's very important. That's not the most important part. Here's the important part of this story. And this is the part you got to get when I talk about taking control of your situations, taking control of your life. Now, at a point, they get to a realization that though they're winning the battle, the war is still being waged, and the day is ending, the sun is starting to go down, and what they realize is they're waging war on the territory of the enemy. And if it gets dark, the enemy knows the territory better than them. They will retreat, regroup, and become a more formidable foe, and they will lose some momentum. So what does Joshua do? Does he go find him a little corner and pray to God and ask God to come and be more forceful in the battle? What does Joshua do? Joshua looks up and says, we need more daylight. He looks up and says, sun, stand still over Gibeon. At that moment, the sun stopped moving. Now, again, this is about principle. The first principle is Joshua didn't see the need to get permission from God to execute the power that God had already promised he had. He at that moment realized there was a situation that needed him to act, and he acted, understanding that he possessed the power and the sovereignty over the situation to speak it and then expect it. Sun, stand still. He didn't say God make the sun stand still. He didn't say Father make the sun. He said, he spoke to situations and demanded it. And then there's a word in the oldest book, what most believe to be the oldest, most ancient book in the scripture, the book of Job. He says, you shall declare a thing and it shall be established. The moment you declare something, that's why you got to watch your speech. It is manifested in the fifth dimensional realm, and the more energy you give it to it, the more consistently you visit that thought that you created, the more powerful it becomes. It starts to control what you believe, what you think, how you behave. It moves into the fourth dimensional realm where it starts to mess with your moods and your expectations, your anticipation, how you act, and then ultimately your behavior will bring it into the third dimensional realm where you actually experience it and other people can see it. You got to be very careful of what you're speaking and what you're thinking. But I just wanted to talk about, you got to have control. Are you in control of your situations, or are your situations controlling you? You're not going to stop pain from rolling in. You're not going to stop the difficult moments. You're not going to stop things from happening. Pain is a part of life. It's inevitable. Suffering is a choice. Misery is a choice. Misery is sitting up and saying, I don't want to do anything about it. I'm just going to wallow in it. I'm just going to camp out in this problem. I'm going to give this problem all the power it needs to take dominance over me. I'm going to make it bigger than me. Hey, you got to be careful with that. Let me tell you something. Watch your conversations that you have with yourself. Watch the conversations you have with others. Stay away from people who murmur and complain a lot, because you will find out you will become a murmurer and a complainer. And listen, 5 minutes spent complaining is 5 minutes wasted and lost. You can't get anything from complaining, period, and you don't get anything back from the time you spent complaining. You've literally wasted precious moments talking about something you have the power to change. If you don't like it, you got to change it. Now, here's the part that most people balk on. Excuse me. Most people balk on the idea of investing the time, energy, effort, and patience required to change situations. They want something to happen magically. They want something to happen through osmosis. They want something to just move away. They're not willing to persevere through something and let the situation develop them while propelling them towards the very thing they desire to have. See, some of the things you want are going to take you through some storms you don't like. Some of the things you want are going to require you to be patient. Some of the things you want are going to require you to step back and move in a way that doesn't appeal to your liking. That's the part of the process. But what you got to do is you got to be willing to go in and possess the promise, just like Joshua and the people of Israel possessed
the promised land. You got to understand that I can sit up and say it's mine all day long, but if I don't put it in the work and go get it, I'll never have it. It'll be mine, but it'll be mine at a distance. It'll be mine in thought. It'll be mine in an idea, in a concept, in a fantasy. And the way I transform my fantasies is through action. I take my fantasies and I move them into a place where fantasies become vision. When fantasies become vision, then the vision becomes a motivating factor. And when that motivating factor ignites, then I start to move. And this is what you got to understand. Every day you wake up and you live your life, you're writing a story. Now, most people that are focused on your story, including you, are most of the times focused on what? Accolades, goals, accolades, what I accomplished, what I drove, what my title is. Man, I made it to this. I'm the vice president of this. I am the manager of this. I am the CEO of this. I am the founder of this. I did this. I have this bank account. I live in this community. What you've done is you've told your story from a place of accolades. But here's the problem: when you tell your story from the position and the angle solely of what you've accomplished, you lose sight of the most powerful force ever: purpose. See, you should be telling your story from a place of why. See, it ain't about just what I do. It's about why. What is my intent? What is the reason why I do it? Why is it so important to have those components in the story? Because at the end of the day, you're going to hit another rough spot. At the end of the day, you're going to hit some dark points, some disappointments, some frustrations. And then what's going to happen? What's going to happen is you're going to have to fall back on something. You're going to have something that you can look at to draw from, because the moment is going to be bigger than you. Oh, I guarantee you've been there before. That moment is bigger than you. You're trying to figure out, and you're looking and you're hoping. And this is what you got to do. This is the story why we're going to go back to Joshua. See, some of us get caught up in screaming out to God, but God is screaming back, but you can't hear him because you're operating from fear. You're sitting up saying, fix it. God said, I already gave you the power. You're sitting up saying, change it. God said, I already gave you the power. You're sitting up saying, I don't like it. God says, change it. But you can't hear it because you're operating from fear. And what happens with fear? You lower the frequency and the vibration of the energy you emit. You remove yourself from direct correlation and connectivity with God, because God is operating on 500, 600, 700 hertz and up. And you're down here in 250 hertz and you wonder why there's no connectivity and why you feel distant, because you have broken the connection with God, because you were commanded not to fear, not to be anxious, not to worry. But here you are and you've broke the connection. There's a reason behind everything. So then what do you got to do? You got to realize I have the power. So then you sit up and you do what? You go, son, stand still. You start to speak to the situation based off of internal belief that you have. Now, here's the thing. You got to have developed and built the internal belief that no problem is bigger than your connectivity with God and your purpose in this world. And that's where the story comes in. That's why you've got to have intent in the story. That's why you've got to have a why and a purpose in the story. Why? Because when you sit up and you get to the roughest times in your life, it's going to be that story that pulls you out. I can't quit now. The world needs me. I can't quit now. My family needs me. I can't quit now. I owe God for this unbelievable gift that has been bestowed upon me. I can't let God down. I can't let the designer down. And how do I let the designer down? By living my life at a level beneath my design. I'm supposed to be living life at the level of my design. I'm supposed to be taking life on. I'm supposed to understand that there are going to be difficult moments, but none greater than my purpose. That's the thing that you've got to understand. You've got to know your story. I'm going to leave you with this last thing. This is why knowing your purpose is so important. This is why knowing your why, your intent is so important, and why expressing it in the life you live. See, it's not expressing the stories you tell as much as the life you live. People will know your why by the way you move. People will know your why by the way you respond to things. People will know your why by the way you have moved out throughout life, and it will tell them. But see, the reason you got to know your why is and understand is that the quality of your life and the quality of the impact of your life is not going to be hidden in the accomplishments that you've had. It's not going to be hidden in how long you live. There are some people who have lived unbelievably long life, and there's not a whole lot to say other than that. And there are some who were with us for a brief moment, and we still talk about them. Why? Because What they did was more powerful than how they lived was more powerful than how long they lived. And that's the focus. Let how you live be the focus of your life every day. How am I living today? Am I living a life of joy? Am I living a life of giving? Am I living a life of gratitude? Am I living a life of greatness? Not in the sense of showing everybody how awesome I am, but in the sense of making impacts in the lives of other people in a way that displays and expresses greatness. People don't want to hear you talk about how great you are as much as they want to see your greatness effectively moving in their lives. Because when you do it right, you empower them to become great. That's what you do. You change lives by exacting the force of your power and purpose in the lives of other people. All the other stuff like money and accolades and all those little things, those come as an ancillary benefit, so to speak, of you walking in your purpose. But the focus should always be on purpose. Look, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. The day is Black Friday. We're going to have some unbelievable offers throughout the day. Stay focused. We're coming at you hard. We're going to start out with the Transform Your Life in 30 Days challenge. The link is in the box. Read about it. If you are looking to make an immense shift in your life, a shift in paradigms, a shift in focus, a shift in belief systems, a shift in behavioral habits that will ultimately change your life for the long term, you definitely want to sign up for this program. The information is in the box. Go get it. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button, click the share button, drop a comment in the comment box. If you really want to make a move, go down there and click that box. Let's sign up, get started. And all of the programs that I'm going to be talking about offering today are going to be in some way working directly with me. It won't be with anybody else from the organization. This is yours truly, the founder, the CEO of Rick Wallace Enterprises, which includes Visionetics Institute, which is what we're doing right here now. But you're going to see this on a lot of different platforms and channels that we operate and work on, because I want everybody to have the opportunity to be lifted, to be encouraged, to be inspired, to be instructed, and in many other ways. And the thing is, there's this awesome stuff that I'm bringing to you that you can just take and use. And for those of you who want to take it to the next level, let's do it. So on that note, I'm out here. As I always say, I live my life on full each and every day. I do that because I want to die on E. I challenge you to do the same thing. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable rest of the day.